Good Shabbos again, everyone. I don't think there's anyone who enjoys flying in airplanes. Flying in airplanes, unless you're in first class, has never been fun. Unpleasant experiences seem to happen often on airplanes. But since the beginning of this pandemic, things have seemed to have gotten worse. Airports and planes seem to be full of angry, irate passengers, often mad at flight attendants who are trying to do their job and enforce COVID restrictions. The Federal Aviation Administration has reported a record number of unruly passenger reports, and unfortunately, attacks on flight attendants have become almost commonplace. In 1965, United Airlines introduced its famous slogan, "Fly the friendly skies." I'm not sure this slogan would work in 2021. One of the awful consequences of this pandemic is that we have become a society under even greater amount of stress. The result is that whatever guardrails of civility were left, they've all seemed to evaporate. And the evidence of that stress and that coarseness and that rudeness seems to be everywhere. Wherever you turn, it seems that people are ruder than ever before, even in Texas. Too many people prioritize rudeness and cruelty over decency and respect, taking individual actions that ignore the interest of those around us. People cutting in line at the grocery store. When we drive, road rage has become commonplace. Now when I drive on the loop, I expect someone to cut in front of me. And of course, we have an online culture of cruel behavior towards those who have different opinions. In our ideologically divided society, all attacks those who have different views are considered okay. And that pervasive use of technology during this time of more social distancing has cut us off from real social connections, leaving us disassociated from any social context and adding to the universal crudeness. Nationwide, incivility and rudeness has been on the rise in all aspects of life for years. Even in 2019, before the pandemic, 93% of Americans polled reported that uncivil behavior was increasing. 68% called it a major problem. And since the pandemic, things have clearly gotten worse. It's as if many people are just waiting for that opportunity to express their pent-up anger and stress from 2 years of COVID. Perhaps you've seen it. Perhaps you've felt it. Perhaps you've been a victim. I'm no longer surprised. I expect to experience the coarsening of our discourse and our culture almost every single day. Is there anything you and I, is there anything we as American Jews can do to help? Rabbi Dov Weinberger, quoting from the Insights of Sefer Shemen HaTov, offers a potential solution for you and me. Tomorrow, we complete the book of Breshit, the first book of the Torah, and we will conclude with the Joseph story. And the rabbi here reminds us that there were 4 simple words from Joseph that changed the course of history. We remember that Joseph was arrested and imprisoned. Shortly afterwards, 2 members of Pharaoh's court were also thrown into jail. Imagine what it was like to be in jail with 2 officers of Pharaoh's court. As an analogy, this would be like having a 2-bit drug dealer in jail together with 2 members of the president's cabinet. These were cabinet-level people in the Egyptian government. The person who brought Pharaoh his wine was a trusted individual. He was the wine taster, a person whom the king had implicit trust. These were people who can be compared to the Attorney General and Secretary of State. And we can be sure that there was not a lot of camaraderie and social interaction between Joseph and Pharaoh's officers. And now we remember from the story, the officers have their respective dreams, which upset them. And Joseph sees that they were depressed and asks them, "Why are you depressed?" And because of that remark, because of those 4 words, what happens? The dreams are related to Joseph. He interprets the dreams. The butler sees that Joseph has special powers, and the butler is eventually released from jail, and in time, honored tradition, gets back on the cabinet. And years later, the butler remembers Joseph, and Joseph is brought out of jail. He interprets the dreams of Pharaoh correctly. He becomes the second in command, and he feeds the entire world, including his own brothers and father. And the rest, they say, is history. What started these series of events that saves humanity, saves the Jewish people? It continues the story of the Torah. 4 words that Joseph offers out of the kindness of his heart, out of looking out for someone in need. He says, "Madua penechem ra'im hayom." Why are you depressed? It was Joseph, who out of the kindness of his heart, who was concerned about how these 2 people looked and how they felt, even though he could assume that they were people who did not give Joseph a second look. Merely saying nice, kind words to others can make a world of difference. 4 words that changed history. Other words that can change history? Other words that can change history? Good morning. How are you? Let me introduce myself. Can I help you? And these type of words can make a difference. Our tradition calls it derek eretz, meaning be a mensch. Be a mensch when others are not a mensch. Be kinder when others aren't being kind. Be gentle, compassionate, calm, empathetic when others are rude and coarse. Treat others with common courtesy, like we would want to be treated. Because common courtesy is a fundamental principle of Jewish tradition. The Talmud records many controversies, as you could imagine, between the different rabbis. The most famous one is between the school of Hillel and the school of Shammai. And in virtually all of them, the opinion of Hillel prevails. Why? Because Hillel took seriously and were respectful of the opinions of Shammai. Derek eretz, good manners, are considered in our tradition more important than our observance of Jewish law. Because we cannot claim to be religious people if we're intolerant and unkind. You're more religious if you're a mensch. The Seder Eliyahu Rabbah depicts God as teaching us, "My beloved children," is God saying, "am I in want of anything that I should request of you, of human beings, of all men and women? What I've asked of you, that you should love, honor, and respect one another." Because the way we treat each other is the one thing which is out of God's control and the ultimate expression of our shared humanity. Derek eretz, good manners, remains a fundamental Jewish value. Are we following it in our daily interactions of 2021? No matter the stress that you and I may be under, the anger, the frustration, the divided political opinions, are you rising above that? Are you serving as an example? Are you being a Jewish mensch? This holiday season, whether you be in Houston or traveling on an airplane, can you be the nice one? And can we all take the initiative to work against the growing lack of civility we are seeing too often in the country that we love? Shabbat Shalom.